All right, and welcome to the preseason podcast of Prometheus. This is the cast assessment podcast. It is a CNC podcast, and today my co-host is Sherry, one of the creators and hosts of Conflict. How you doing today, Sherry?
Great, Casey. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so happy to have you on. Probably have you on for the follow-up podcast where we'll talk about the other contestants as well. But I'd say let's get right into it. So diving into it, obviously we have 14 contestants this season. You had access to their auditions and their promos, which the promos are currently public. And yeah, we'll be talking about 5 individuals with you today. So let's kind of start it off with someone who you are actually familiar with. That is Mr. Andrew Denson. So what do you think about Andrew? What do you think he'll be doing in this game? Let's kind of get your thoughts on this.
Okay, Andrew in a game is very social. He comes off very sweet, very gentle. He'll listen to you talk, talk, talk. Most people in the games I played with, we've always referred to him as coach because of what he does for a living with coaching lacrosse teams and stuff.
Rugby, I
In
think it
the
is.
game, yeah, in this game, I really think he has a really good shot because of the fast pace of this game with his social abilities to really get in there. He's more of a hero than a villain. But don't make it, he can come in there and he'll pull a shot if he needs to. He likes to play more of a hero game though, which could end up being a weakness. I have learned in these kind of games that move that fast. And minis, you can't always be both. You've got to be a little bit more equal balanced. But I could see him doing it. I have high hopes for him going forward in this game.
All right. So just kind of giving the audience a little bit of facts about Andrew. So Andrew applied. Andrew's now 30 years old. He is a college women's rugby coach, if I remember
Rugby,
correctly.
sorry. I said lacrosse, didn't I?
Yeah. So yeah, college women rugby coach, definitely rugby. I think it's women's though. He's played a ton of orgs. I think more so he sticks to the full orgs rather than minis because I think generally speaking, his track record with minis is like really not good. And I think he usually always makes it to the jury phase of the games. Now, for his little blurb that he actually put in his audition form, he says, I have a very large chip on my shoulder from previous experiences playing in orgs, and I'm looking to finally seal the deal and pull out a win. I'm a talker. It's literally what I do for a living. And if I'm out in front of any jury, I can convince them to vote for me to win. I love meeting new people despite my social anxiety. And then a little crying, laughing emoji.
I would say that sums him up too, because if he has to cut somebody out that he's very close to, even if it means it's going to be better for his game, 9 out of 10, coach is going to go in there and actually try to save his partner in crime, even if it means throwing his game to the wind and seeing where it all lands. So he may try, maybe that's where his chip comes in. How many times has he tried to save somebody in the game and it's come back and haunted him and ended him in the jury? So maybe this game, that's what his whole ideal is to come in and be a little more cutthroat than normal, which in a game like this would actually benefit his game.
All right. So do you have any final thoughts, I guess, on Andrew before we move on to the next person?
I definitely expect to see him in jury. He's never usually a first boot. He's usually pretty easy to get along with. He finds the numbers and goes with the numbers, and he usually doesn't start making his big moves or moves at all until he hits the merge stage. He plays it safe the first half of the game.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. All right. So now we are going to move on to our next player, which is Anna Rigetti. So I think you had some interesting tidbits about her you'd like to say. So by all means.
I loved Anna. I'm not going to lie. She was quirky, and I love that. She is new to orgs, never played before. She even answered some of your questions with, I'm not going to answer that. I loved it. I want her so bad for my season of Conflict coming up. There's just everything about her I loved. I could see if people give her a chance, really also just loving her. I think she would do great in a long-term game. I really do. I could see people actually wanting to work with her and pulling her into alliances. And a mini, unfortunately, I think her quirkiness might not be enough to come out and show them. She might kind of shy off and sit in a corner. I don't know. I'm hoping she doesn't, but I'm scared that she's going to be overlooked and considered an easy vote out pre-jury.
So that's your guess, is that she gets out pre-jury then?
Yeah, I hope I'm wrong because I really, really, really loved her. I'm not gonna lie. So far, she's one of my definite favorites. I loved her. I just totally did.
Yeah, Anna is awesome. So actually, little backstory: I went to the same university as Anna, and I went to the same university as her boyfriend, which is obviously where she met her boyfriend. Now, I had one class with Anna, and I had one class with her boyfriend, and her boyfriend I would always talk Survivor with. So originally for this game, I wanted her boyfriend to play, but he just recently joined the Navy. And so he's kind of busy with that. That's his weekends. But then I thought to myself, Anna would be really good. We need some like new faces because I wanted to try and get at least a quarter of the cast being new people. So we needed some new faces. We needed some really nice, empathetic, passionate people. And I thought Anna's great. She has her own YouTube channel in which she kind of does like sort of sketch comedy stuff. She streams all the time. She's outgoing enough. So I think she would have been like the perfect person in my mind. So I'm like, I'm going to reach out to her since her boyfriend can't play. And then we got Anna.
She seemed very outspoken, and I love that about her. I could see her doing really well in a long term game. And maybe I'm being short sighted, but I'm just worried. Minnie might have been too fast paced for somebody who, with her, I think you have to develop with her. And I think if you have that time to develop with her, I think she'd do well. But she might surprise me in this game. And I'm rooting for you, Anna. So I hope you did. I hope you went in and kicked butt because I really loved your interview. And the whole thing with the rats. Oh my God. I thought that was even amazing. She just was somebody who I would want to play with if I was in a game.
So could you actually let the audience know and even refresh my mind because I haven't watched those audition videos in a while, and honestly, I don't plan on picking any of them up again for a while. What's the rat thing?
She loves rats. She has pet rats. That's her thing. And rats, as everybody, if anybody knows anything, are very smart animals. And she is fascinated with them. And that is her little project in life is playing. She has these pet rats. And if I have her on mine, I'd be like, get your rats out. I want to see the rats. I want to play with the rats. I think that's super cool. She says it makes her weird. I think it makes her quirky. I think she's an outside of a box thinker, and I think she'd be perfect for Survivor. So I was very impressed with her all around, and I'm really, really rooting for you, girl.
Awesome, awesome. So reading off Anna's stuff before we move on to the next person. She's Anna. She's 26. She's a teacher's assistant. She also does her streaming and her YouTube stuff. Once again, she's fresh to orgs, and she said for her little blurb, she said, "You should pick me as a contestant for the first season of Prometheus because I'm outgoing, quirky individual with drive. I understand the importance of creating alliances, but knowing when to sever ties and to not be too ambitious right out the gate. Otherwise, you'll have a target on your back. I can bring a friendly energy that will make others underestimate me and my potential to make it far."
And I'm hoping she did.
All right. So moving on to our next person, we have CJ. Now, CJ was a last minute alternate. There was no audition video, unfortunately, for you to watch. I think you probably watched his promo though.
Yes, I did.
So I don't know how much you can really say about that. But as for CJ, I mean, just to kind of inform the audience a little bit, I know CJ in real life. He is a very social, outgoing person. I don't think I've ever known anyone to dislike him before. He can sometimes have a little bit of a we're kind of on this word quirky right now. So this quirky humor as he and his brothers like to create bits. They're comedic bits. They like to do things and they call them bits. It's all part of his humor. But he's a really good guy. He seems like he has good drive too. I really like him, and I think the social game will be his biggest strength.
I think CJ coming in as a newbie, along with these other newbies, it's going to give them a sense of belonging in this game. Because a lot of times the vets tend to either pull in the newbies thinking they can tell them exactly what to do and how to do it, or the vets will be like, get rid of them and let's just stick together and push them out. It depends how the teams went down. But with his social ability, that could go really well for him, especially if he teams up with maybe like Anna. I'm really rooting for her if you can't tell. No, but yeah. So I think CJ coming in as a newbie though, it's going to be really fun to watch this season. I'm super excited. I can't wait till Saturday actually.
All right. Well, you guys heard it here. So, moving on to the next person, then we have Mara. Now, to inform the audience here, I'm trying to pull up her application form really quick. I've got to switch to it. So Mara is the oldest player in the game at 44 years old. Now, originally speaking, for those who don't know, which none of you pretty much would know, Sherry here was among the initial cast. Now, my original thinking for casting Sherry and Mara was that they would be two of the older players. Mara is a new player. Sherry is a veteran at these games. Maybe they could team up. So that was my original thinking. So Mara, I don't actually know her in real life, but I know a number of people that do. And she is a very outgoing individual. She seems very positive. She's got a huge following. She is a really compassionate woman. She has taken in a lot of people to help them out. And also, as I'm sure it'll probably come up in some sort of conversation with her, she is a blockhead. She loves, I believe that's what they're called, New Kids on the Block. She's obsessed. She's met a ton of celebrities. Mara is such a great positive force. But yeah, tell me what you thought of Mara based on her audition.
I really think Mara is able to do a lot, because let's look at her as a whole. She's a mother. She's a grandma. She watches kids. She was a cheer mom. That alone should say a lot about her, because cheer moms have to be out there, fundraising, out there. When she said cheer mom, I was like, oh, this woman's got this game on lock, because she's got to be able to handle a lot at once. I mean, look at what she handles in real life on an everyday basis. She was outgoing in her interview. She even said, I used to play softball, so I have athleticism in my background. And when you were asking her questions about how she would react to certain things, she was like, look, I don't like to get into fights, but if you start picking on somebody inappropriately, I'm old school. I'll go a little old school ghetto on you, I think was the exact words. She's like, I got a little ghetto in me. Don't make me, if it has to come out, it will. But it's not something I like to push out until I've been pushed that hard. And it's usually in protection of others. So right there, that told me she would be somebody, if I had been in the game, her and I would definitely have worked together, because I'm the same way. She has that protective stride in her. As long as you're not messing with her and her people, you'll have no issues with her. But if you step over that line, and everybody knows there's a fine line, when you're mad, she's going to come right back on you. So she does have some fire behind her. So I could see her going in and playing the mother role with everybody and doing really well with that. Because in a lot of these games, the mother role is a strong role, because somebody needs somebody to go cry on their shoulder. And that's where the mothers come in, because it's not disingenuous. It's really genuine, because they're like our kids. And I could see her taking on that position in this game easily and making it hard for people to even want to take her out.
Yeah. I mean, how many times in actual reality shows, especially the game of Survivor, do you see the mother role make it very far, if not to pretty much the end?
Tina wasn't.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's clearly a very proven archetype sort of strategy. So hopefully we'll see if that works out for Mara. Mara's got a little bit of a fan base too. Within, I think, like 2 to 3 hours of her promo video up, it went over 100 views, quicker than any of my other contestants. And then within 24 hours, it went over 200 views. And she's the only promo to reach over 200 views. Granted, we're a new org, we're still trying to get some people, to view and, get behind the org. But yeah, Mara's got a little bit of a following and a fan base. So hopefully they get to come out and, cheer on for the pilot and, moving forward if she made it farther.
She claims to be a hero, so I can't wait to see this in action. She was another player I was super excited about.
Yeah. And then also just kind of reading her blurbs. So everything really, her name's Mara. She's 44. She's a nanny / caretaker. She's never played an org before, but she does watch reality competitions. And her little blurb is, I'm a wife, mom, Mimi, sister, aunt, caregiver to many. And why not add gamer to the list? You only live once, right? Never too late to learn something new. Heck, maybe I'll even be good at it. So great positive blurb. I love Mara.
I really liked her too.
And then also, she might kill me for saying this, but we talked a lot before her official interview or audition, whatever you want to refer to it as. We did her audition, and then she's chilling in her room, and we're just kind of having like a conversation because she's an easy person to talk to. Her window was open, and a bat flew in her house, and she's like freaking out. She calls her husband and stuff like that. But you know what she did? She threw the covers on over her head and she continued that conversation. She was dedicated. I love Mara. I love Mara so
Oh,
much.
snap, snap, snap for that. Because I think I would have ran out of the room. I don't think you would have seen me anymore. You would have heard me screaming in the background. What do you mean? Get the damn broom out. You know?
Yeah, I think she called for the broom at some point, but like I said, she was dedicated. She just threw that blanket on over her head and she had her iPad like this talking to me. It was so funny. Sorry, Mara, if you're listening to this, please don't kill me, please.
No, I didn't think you need to make a little promo with that. Just so
well, unfortunately, it wasn't on recording, actually. It was right after the interview ended, probably not even like 3 minutes. So
it just shows how tough she is.
Yeah,
she is tough.
She's absolutely great.
I do love that story though.
Mara, please don't kill me. Okay, so moving on to our fifth contestant that we'll be talking with Sherry. It's our fifth and final contestant because we have two more contestants. We'll be talking with another org host shortly, so stay tuned. We have Tiki. Now, I know his in the official line, it said his name was Tyler. No one calls him Tyler. Tiki is his, as he described it, his he's the share of the season. He goes by his name. This is what he's branded as. Tiki is an awesome individual. I love Tiki. I have a lot of common interests with him. And he also has his own podcast. He runs his own creative writing org, if I remember correctly.
Yes, he does. He said that.
Yeah, and in addition to that, he has a YouTube channel that has officially become monetized. He's got over 1,000 subscribers. It hit the hours viewed, and he just started making money. So, yeah, tell me what you think about Tiki.
I feel like he's going to run the game. He came in on his interview. He's very enthusiastic, but he has that quality that's going to draw people in. Because even in his interview, when I was listening to him, I was like, I could see myself just shaking my head. And I was like, damn, if he was in a game, I'd even be working with him. He connects well with you. He connects well with you in the interview. He connects well with the camera. And he seems like he's got a lot of strategic things going on. I see him not being viewed as too threatening in the beginning, but definitely taking over the game. Right now, I got to be honest, he's probably my winner's pick out of everybody I've watched so far. I honestly think I would be shocked not to see him at least in the final five, if not at the end of the game. He just seems like he's got that calmness about him, but it's just the way he connected. Even in the interview, I found myself just shaking my head and I'm like, what the hell? This guy really just has a way of projecting himself and getting you to agree with himself just in an interview alone. So I can't even begin to imagine what he did in a mini.
No. Yeah, with Tiki, it seems like, I mean, he self-describes himself as a nerd. I think anything that he's really interested in, he's very knowledgeable on. Clearly, he plays orgs, he watches reality, television, so he might have all the strategies in his bag. One thing I have been meaning to check out, I mean, I've listened to some of his podcasts, but I'm curious about his org that he runs. I never actually got around to checking it out.
Yeah, he never really said what it was, just that he runs a game.
I think it's a creative writing org, which is very interesting. I've never heard of one like that before, but
even when you get back with him, I'd like to know too. I'm curious. Not that I'd be curious to read the entries and see how he does that. It was just fascinating that the format was completely different from anything I've ever heard of before.
Yeah, I will. I'll be posting everyone's social media accounts in the description for this video. So if anyone's interested in checking out anyone's Instagram or YouTube page, mostly everyone supplied their Instagram account, with a few people like Anna, like Tiki, and another contestant we'll be talking about at the end of this podcast. He also has a YouTube page. This guy named Kyle. He's a comedian. He's also a little bit on the quirky side. Love his little videos. I'm not going to get too far into him, but yeah, we'll have we have John Wilson, hopefully John Wilson, on next, who will be talking about Kyle. But yeah, as for Tiki, awesome, really like him, a lot of common interests. So once again, he goes by Tiki. He's 30 years old. His official job will say he's a podcaster / YouTuber. His channel is So You Want to Be an Imagineer. He is a big fan of Survivor, which was a huge bond, according to him, with his grandparents. He's played a number of seasons. Actually, no, he hasn't. I'm so sorry. I've read the wrong blurb. He's played 4 seasons. He was the villain in one. He made it to the final two. He was third and he was a pre-merger. His little blurb says, I'm a seasoned veteran of online fandoms, mostly in the Disney sphere. He's hosted 18 seasons of Armchair Imagineering. That's what the org is called, but his channel is So You Want to Be an Imagineer. He is a podcast and org host, but I've definitely been around the block on the production side of things. I'm a big advocate for autism awareness with myself being high functioning and having a little brother on the lower functioning side of the spectrum. I built my online brand as Tiki for almost 2 decades. And while I'm certainly not internet famous or anything, I'm super proud of my games lasting as long as it has. Season 19 starting this summer, and my YouTube channel at the time being in spitting distance of 1,000 subscribers. So that is Tiki. That was what he wrote on his forum.
He is a man of all trades, that is for sure. And that's quite a lot to say. And that's kind of impressive because I would have never guessed about the autism, the way he comes off. He just is very appealing.
Yeah.
I feel like I connected with him and I'm not even in the game.
Yeah, I really like Tiki, and I hope everyone gets to see Tiki for the wonderful person he is, and all these players for that matter. There were a couple people that I initially casted for a little bit more of drama, but I would like to say that, I think everyone is likable in a different way. A couple people definitely could be viewed as villains, but even the villains have their likable qualities. So we'll have to see. But yeah, so that's the 5 people we're here to talk about with Sherry. But before you go, Sherry, do you have any final thoughts on Tiki or any of the others?
I would like to see where they are. I can't wait till Saturday, how they start out the game, because it's easy to say right now. But right now, out of the ones that I've looked at, Tiki, to me, I could see him literally going to the end of the game because he's magnetic. He just pulled me in more so than all the rest, but I liked all the rest. All of them, like Mara, she's a hero. Anna, she just is going to be spirited. I feel like she's going to be quirky and spirited, and I hope it's taking the right direction and lets her fly with this game, because if she does, I would really, either way, Anna, come talk to me, Anna, because love to have you on my season of conflict. Hogwarts. Well, what is that? Halloween at Hogwarts is what we decided. Yep. So yeah, I know Casey and I wanted it to be something different.
I'm fine with it being that. I'm fine.
Yeah,
with
we're gonna deal. We're gonna go with it.
I think the occult would have been a really good theme.
Hell yeah, we were like digging that. Dakota, cough, cough. But yeah, I'd like to see some of the villains, because so far everybody you've shown me, I see nothing but heroes.
All right. Well, I guess that is it. Stay tuned in a moment for John. And if you heard Sherry say, they have their new season of Conflict that'll be coming up in October. It's Halloween at Hogwarts. Check the link in the description if you want to apply, and check out the Facebook page. On that note, thank you so much for joining us, Sherry.
Thank you, Casey. It's always a pleasure.
All right. And for our next guest, we have John. John is the host and I believe the creator of Conquest.
Yes.
Right? How are you doing today, John?
I'm doing good. Yes, I am both host and creator we're at season 19 now. So it's been about 6 years.
Wow. Yeah. That's insane. That's a lot of seasons in that short amount of time. Obviously I played C-17, which was London. And you are obviously here today on the podcast to talk about 2 former players who are now playing on the current season of Prometheus. So let's actually just kind of get right into it. Our first person that we'll be talking about today is Caro. So what can you tell me about Caro, about her previous experience in Conquest, and maybe what you think she'll be able to do in this current season of Prometheus?
Yeah, Caro is a firecracker. She came into Conquest. It was her first time ever playing one of these orgs. She was friends with somebody who had played one in the past, so she had some familiarity to them, but definitely dove into the deep end. And typically you see those type of players have like a rough or like a slow burn where they jump in and they're like not quite sure what they're getting themselves into and take a while to build up some steam. That wasn't the case with Carol at all. Carol jumped in, was immediately on fire, the most social, very dominant personality from the get-go. And she was making sure that she was in a good position. And if she wanted somebody to go home, she was going to have a say in who that was. And that's very much the type of player that Carol proved to be that season. She was dominant. She was strategic. She didn't care if she was friends with someone. She was actually playing with somebody that she knew in real life. And they not only, I believe, barely ever voted together, they actively, like, she actively got her out of the game. Like, it was something
really?
that it was like, that's how cutthroat Caro played that season. So it was really fun watching her find her footing in that game and just dominate. She made it all the way to the final three. Unfortunately, she made it there with another ally of hers who played a very similar but equally dominant game and got kind of the votes from the people that were deciding between Caro or the other person. But I could tell that from coming that close to win, a player like Caro would be coming into her next game hungry for a victory. So I have no doubt that that's how she'll be this season.
Now, I was, as I previously have said to you before, outside of the podcast, I was in the viewing lounge that season, but I got overwhelmed. I was in another game at that point in time. There's a lot to keep up on between the game I was playing and the VL. So I don't think the voting history is updated on the Conquest website. So what was the final score or the votes at the very end? It was the final three, right?
It was the final three, and Carol was unfortunately our 0 vote finalist of the season. So it's one of those instances where she didn't play poorly. She was more so against a player who played her like number one ally of the game, who played very similarly, but was more so seen as like the leader and was the massive threat that people continuously tried to get out, but couldn't take out of the game. And she was against the underdog figure. So the vote between those two players ended up being 4-3. And unfortunately, Caro ended up being that 0 vote finalist there, who still had a very strong showing and a very strong final tribal council, but was just not able to pull any votes.
Gotcha. Yeah, I will say that while I genuinely love my whole cast, I mean, obviously I chose them for a reason. We had a fair amount of applications. I really wasn't expecting to get many applications because obviously new org, still relatively new to the community in general. But we had about 45 applications. And when we did her interview, I probably wasn't even 5 minutes into the interview, and I was like, 100%. She was, I think, one of 2 people I did that with, both of which were women. And obviously, or at least in my experience, I don't actually come across a lot of women in the community. I come across like so many guys. Like these games are flooded with men. So it's, good to get a female in it and a really social and dominant female like her. But yeah, like I said, within 5 minutes, I was like, she 100% has got to be on this season. And we reached out and she accepted.
That's a lot of her charm in the game too. She gets people to like her quick. And she's someone that I think it's very easy for her to establish a good position early on because of that. But what happens is that type of personality later in the game can become a threat and somebody that people are wary of.
Well, yeah, she clearly knows how to play the game. She made it that quick to the on her first try to the very end. So Caro should be an interesting watch for this season. So hopefully everyone tunes in to see her. Just kind of doing what I did with all the previous people. I'm just going to run through some of her stuff. Her name is Caro. She's 28. She's an HR consultant who lives in New York. As John already said, she only played one other game and she placed 3rd. And as for her little blurb that she sent on her application, she says, as a newbie into the org community, I completely loved my first experience playing Conquest. If I'm casted, I'll bring my competitive, sweet, but methodical game to try and get to the end again. And that's also in her promo video. She does mention that she had made it to the end in her previous game. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out on Caro. She's a very interesting player. So do you have any final thoughts on Caro before we move on?
No, I'm really excited to watch her play. I think she's going to do great.
All right. Awesome. So, bringing up my next person, we have Kyle. Now, Kyle obviously played Conquest as well. It's the whole reason you will be talking about him, John. But he played an early season, and I think you said he was an early boot. So,
Yes.
what can we say about Kyle?
So similar to Caro, I had the pleasure of hosting Kyle in his first org as well. And when Kyle joined the org community at that time, the example that I give that Caro did not represent of players who like dive into the deep end, and she really succeeded. Kyle was the player who dived into the deep end and never left the deep end. Like he was the first person voted out. A lot of that came from him just not necessarily adapting as well to the format.
Oh, he was the first boot? I thought
he was the second boot. He was the first person voted out of his tribe.
Okay.
So his tribe won the first immunity challenge. They went to their second tribal council and he was voted out. And a lot of that came from the fact of like what a lot of rookie players tend to make the mistakes of. They don't know how social they have to be. Other people talk more with each other and they think they're doing enough, but then they're really not. I remember famously he was voted out while his tribal council took place while he was at Disney World. So like that kind of gave his frame of mind of where he was in the game and how he fell at that newbie hurdle. But since then, Kyle has definitely left his mark on the org scene as a really great character and a really great player. I've seen him make the finals of multiple games. I've seen him go very deep. And in a lot of instances, he's always somebody that people just really love on a personal level of they just get along with him. He's such a funny guy. So he has developed into this really well-rounded org vet. But I mean, you might be able to correct me from what his application said or what he has said. I do not believe he has won yet. I think he has come close and he has made it to the finals a couple times, but I think he is still missing that win. So I'm sure he is coming into this season hungry for it.
Yeah, from the looks of it, looking at his application, I don't know if he actually listed everything because one of the annoying things is with some of these applicants, they'll just say, "Oh, I've been in a lot of games." Well, like, yeah. I want to know what games you've been in because I try and cast people that don't know each other. We had technically one prior connection the whole game, and that was because when we were casting, those people were in a current game that was not public. So at first I thought I had actually cast it like people who didn't know each other. But yeah, as for Kyle's application, says he was in Conquest, Annihilation, CYS, Voyage, and Legacy. His placements were 19th, 9th, 7th, and 12th. I'm assuming that was an all-star season of CYS, then 8th and 8th on Voyage, 4th on Legacy, and then it's kind of cut out because it's a stupid Excel sheet, and then second in something. Oh, second in All Out.
All Out is his most recent one, I believe, where he made the finals.
I mean, they're all pretty good placements. 4th, 2nd, 7th, 9th, 8th, 8th, and 12th. They're probably
and it shows
all
the
merged.
Progressive of how he's developing as a player. Like he's gotten better. He's figured out what you need to do to be able to excel and kind of make it farther. This will be a very different style of game than he's probably used to playing in those instances compared to like the longer form game. But I think he is primed to do well based on his track record and his personality. Like he's a funny guy. Like people like him. So
yeah, and he does have a YouTube channel where he does a bunch of like skits, very quirky, but I definitely like them. He even when I was originally looking into him based on his application, I went onto his YouTube channel and saw like in the comments section someone posted hey, you completely like stole my video, my idea. And I'm like, oh my God, this is the guy that I just like accepted into Prometheus. Like he's like stealing people's ideas on YouTube. I was like, what kind of fucking character is this? And then, so I clicked on the guy's YouTube channel and he created a second YouTube channel that was a parody of his own YouTube channel where he has like comment wars, but it's weird. He's a weird guy, but he is definitely funny. He's definitely funny.
Yeah, he's a very original guy. So I'm excited to see how he'll do.
Yeah. So I guess overall, do you have any predictions or how do you think they might do, especially given that this is a mini, it is a 2-day mini that
Yeah.
took place over Saturday and Sunday. So how do you think they might have done, especially in this kind of really fast-paced game?
I mean, I think they both could have done really well, but for almost totally different reasons. I think Caro is that social personality, but she's also that fierce game player who's going to play hard strategically. Whereas Kyle, on the other hand, is more of that funny personality, likable guy that I could see people gravitating towards and wanting to work with. So it really could be two people succeeding in the game, but for totally different reasons, which is why the game is so fun to watch because there's not one right person or one right way to make it to the end. It's all situational. So I think both of them can make a very deep run. But if I had to put my money on somebody who does go really far, I would probably edge Caro slightly ahead of Kyle for my predictions, especially from what I've seen both of them play. But you never know.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess that's it. You heard it here from both Sherry and John about their predictions and what they think about each of the members. So before we wrap the entirety of this podcast up, John, you have any final thoughts about anything? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, so I mean, if anybody watching hasn't heard, my series that I host is Conquest. It is a survivor org similar to Prometheus, except not in the mini format. It is a more long form format. So we go for about 39 days. If you want to learn more about the series, you can check out our website at conquestorg.com. Not conquest.org, conquestorg.com. So yeah.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching and tuning in. If you can like, comment, and subscribe on this video and the channel, that'd be greatly appreciated. And I guess that's it. Have a good night, everyone.